La Pampa del FIOR. TS007B. He sat down and I waited with him for 2 hours. Then he got up and said that nothing would happen today and that we must come back. So I got up and dusted my pants. I saw 2 figures standing next to him. They are not actually standing, but they are stuck, motionless and inhuman on 2 sides of Micha. Although they do not hold his elbows, they are actually so close to him. They were dressed in gray long pants and instead of shirts they had gray skin. They were not aliens or devils. None of these things. They were similar to my face. Micho pointed at me and I suddenly realized that there was someone close to me. I asked him, "And what now?" He answered with my voice to turn on the camera. I did it right away. Then Micho and 2 succubs came up to me and showed me down the canyon, where some people were standing on the slope. It was too far, about 300 meters, but still to my amazement, I recognized myself and Micha in those figures. At the same time, I noticed that I was looking at some characters on the edge of the cliff on the other side and also recognizes myself there as I turn on the camera and Micha, as he waves his arms wide waved. Now the figures showed me the rock and we were in it for the 3rd time as in a crooked blurred and walking sideways further and further. We walked so long or not. But suddenly I understood their terrible suffering and their disembodied. I didn't have a body myself, and Micho was in me and with me. This one was certain. His name was as I was. The succubo land was dimensionless and the succub family had no intention of us. No intentions. They also didn't have time, and we had to find a way out on our own. I felt they were sucking my brain. This is not bad, but inevitable. I walked around some fields, my ideas about legs and flowing through my thoughts mixed up. What I thought was becoming. I saw the density of mountains and water. Micha's voice told me to come back with him. I understood that we are one name, that we have no power over ourselves, but as long as we are together, the succub thoughts have no power over ours. We are 2 and as such we are going on and we can do everything. Suddenly I saw all human cities at once and their thoughts, the spirit of forests and the life of the desert. I penetrated the lives of succubs who were unfavorable but not hostile. I felt great feelings and the terrifying history of their world blurred and shifted wherever and whenever. Micho forced me to return. And here we were again on a rock shelf, and then on a small square next to the silent, turned off camera. Succubi stood together next to them. They no longer had our face. They've been stuck for so long and we couldn't say a word. We felt great regret or pain. And they left. We looked at them on the opposite slope for a while, then disappeared into the rock. Only now I could speak. But I didn't have what? Micho came closer and said, "Now you know." I nodded my head. I think I looked silly because the men waiting for us pressed my hat on me and attached it to my head with a ribbon, then put me on a mule and put my bridle in my hands. One even crossed himself 3 times. Micho was silent and I heard singing in his head and his great joy from around the world. We drove to Nuji and ate chicken in the hotel, as the small house right next to the old Spanish market was called. I took care of my affairs without hurry, but carefully, as I have often seen, hurry is only indicated when catching fleas. And we headed back. Of course, Micho kept shooting the camera, which I showed him. And although I knew that he was sitting in my head and I was in his head, I could not ask myself any questions, because we survived exactly the same as a bipod. However, when we got to the house known to us on the way, I stopped dead. We were counting on accommodation and nice hospitality, but we saw a wall so old and overgrown. As if no one had put a hand here for at least 10 years. The ruins of the house and the overgrown, dusty, partly covered with sand fragments gave no chance of error. How is it possible? We were here only 4 days ago. Micho came to one of the chipped furniture and took an old photo out of a small drawer. He handed them to me. I saw him old and mustache as I stand with my hat in my hands. Micho put his arm around me and, regardless of my horror, cut all the questions. "Let's go," he said. The surprised men got on the mules. The caravan was closed by Micho. To be continued, at www.kubi.pl. You can read it in 90 languages. And earn from improving translations.